Hey, what's happening, everybody? Saturday, December 30th. End of the year, I decided I'm just going to do some videos on some products that I've used and just kind of do an end of the year wrap up here and, just make these videos a little more practical for people, especially those that are going to go off grid or want to do some off grid stuff. So this is probably the perfect thing for that. Being that I'm in the desert, water is always a concern. And so what I decided to do was make a water station for down here in this area because I got animals, dogs, goats, chickens, now cats, and we wanted to be able to get their water. But of course I don't want to be hauling water around because I've done that for a couple years out here, doing like all these proofs of concepts with rainwater and everything else. Last year I lived off rainwater almost exactly a year. I think it was about a couple weeks shy of a year, but yeah, I lived off rainwater. So I've, experimented with all kinds of systems and pumps and whatnot. So this here is a really good budget system, all right? And I'm going to go through this and just kind of give you guys an overview of the cost and how much it took to build this and just tell you what it is. So this is an off-grid water station, 100% powered off the sun and a battery. I don't have any other inputs for this thing other than I have to, pump water into this. These are two IBC totes, and IBC totes, in my opinion, are the #1 bang for the buck on off-grid water storage if you can find them used, as long as they are 100% safe for drinking water. You got to double check that because these things they store all kinds of stuff in these. So anyways, if it's food safe, you're good to go. So these are 330 gallon tanks. There's two of them next to each other. Now when you get them, they're all clear most of the time unless they have the metal around them like this one. Now if you can find these and you can find these food safe, these things are awesome. In fact, I would almost always buy these if you can find these, if they're food safe, because you don't have to do anything to cover them up. They're encased in metal, which is great, and that's it. So it keeps your stuff protected as far as from algae and the deterioration of the plastic and everything. So I love these. However, at the time that I needed these things, they didn't have those. So I got these plastic ones. And all the wood that you see around this, all the way around here, all this framing I did, was basically just pallet wood. That's all this is. Pallet wood. I cut it up, made these vertical pieces here, used some caulking, just slammed it together, put some wood. Basically I use wood to metal screws to screw into the metal framing around these IBC totes because of that cage they put around them. And then I just screwed these pieces to those pieces. So it's all protected, and you can do it to your heart's content. You can do whatever you want with this. You can put stucco on it if you want. I almost did that to match the building here. But still a work in progress, okay? But I've used it for about 6 months. So next thing you're going to get to is how you connect these tanks. Now this is what I like about these IBC totes is it's an easily expandable system. So if you are on a budget and you can only afford one tank at a time, well, the beauty of these things is that you could theoretically unlimited attach these things together and just have an unlimited connection of water. In fact, you can see this online all the time. If you just look up IBC tote setups, you'll see people connect 4, 5, 8 of these things. And so it's a good way that you can put your system together as you go if you're on a budget. So that's another thing I like about them. So I paid $150 per tote and 330 gallons of storage in each one of those totes. All right. So a total of $300 for the two totes. Now let's move on to the connections. I'll just say one more thing. You just use these cam locks. You can buy these cam locks if you have cam fittings on your IBC totes. Sometimes the IBC totes have threaded fittings, 2-inch pipe, and this is just 2-inch PVC pipe. You can see I got a couple elbows and a couple connectors here. I don't know what they call these things, but as you know with PVC, that's its own rabbit hole. But basically, you can see how this is connected. Now, these can come apart easily if I ever needed to, so I can take these off just by releasing those and pull this pipe off if I wanted to expand this or something. So that's another thing I like about it. So I'm gonna come back here. Now let's talk about the solar panel. Now, the way I set this up is once I have these two connected, I put a little roof on top of this thing like this, made a little trap door. This is just OSB sheathing here, and this is all coated with the rubberized roof coating. Same with the outside. This is tan rubber roof coating. And you see here I have a door. So I can open up this door, unscrew that, bring a hose here, and I bring the hose from up there down to here, and I just fill this thing up. So that's how I fill it up. Now the other one, the other port, I actually have my pipe running from the bottom. This is just PEX. There's different ways you could do this. This is not by no means the best way to do it. This is just a way to do it. So I have this pipe that goes down here. This PEX line goes into there. You can see there's a hole. Comes out to this PEX line. Comes down the side here. And it goes to my pressure pump. Now the pressure pump this is a typical RV pump. This is a 12 volt pump. So it's important that this is 12 volt for this purpose here, because I'm using a 12 volt battery to power this thing. Now this is a 12 volt battery, group 29. This is a deep discharge, deep cycle lead acid battery. Now this is the one instance where I feel like lead acid is probably the best way to go for something like this, because this is outside exposed. Now I didn't put a cover on this, and the reason I didn't do that yet was because this is the first winter I used it, so I wanted to just see, we're going on 6 months, actually 7 months now of using this thing, and I just wanted to make sure that it was going to work. So 7 months in, having any problems with this thing. So anyways, I left it open just in case I had to get to it or whatever. So that's how that works, all right? So this is connected into, you can see I have a light switch under here. Now this light switch this is not this is not something that an electrician would probably approve, but this is just parts I had on hand, and I wanted to have a shut off for this thing if I ever needed it. This is just, it's something extra I put on there. It's definitely not something you have to have. So instead of having to disconnect this from the battery, like say you get a leak in this thing or something and you got to shut this pump down, instead of trying to unscrew the batteries, all you have to do is just click that thing. So if this starts getting a leak in it, that turns off the power. So it's like a shut-off switch. So you got the battery, it's wired in through there, and then that's wired to the pump. All right, now this is a pressure pump, so once the pressure is fulfilled in here, it stops pumping. At least that's the idea. So they use these in RVs, very common pump. So now what we're going to do is talk about the solar. So this panel is a 250 watt panel, at least it used to be. This is a beat up old panel I had. I got this panel for 40 bucks, I believe. Might have been 50. No, it was 40 bucks. And the panel's all beat up. It's got cracks in it. It's very, very far depleted. So it's definitely not outputting what it used to. But to power this thing, it works fine. Like I said, 7 months in, it's been working fine, because these things aren't working all the time. At least mine isn't. I'm using it to water animals like a watering station. So you can see here the solar panel is on a pallet. So all I did was take a pallet. Now it's been through monsoon season, been through all the winds we've had, hasn't moved an inch. It's good to go. So I have this attached to the pallet. I have a piece of pallet wood attached to the back here, and I have it directly screwed into the metal on this thing. And then I just have a pallet angled up where I wanted to angle, and I set it up here. You can see what I did. So this solar panel goes directly into this container. Now this container, actually you can see here, this is a spray painted white container that used to hold salt. It was from a restaurant. And you can see here, I ran the cables in from the solar panel into here. And that is my charge controller. This is a cheapy charge controller, or the cheapest you can get. Definitely not high quality, but it works. So you can see here, it's charging right now. There it is. And then this container, of course, keeps it dry. So it's good to go. I just haven't mounted here. Like I said, been through monsoon season, summer, good to go. That wire goes from here. The only thing that happened was this thing moved around. This was supposed to be flush with that, but so that goes down to there into the battery, and there we have it. So overall, the cost here, I'm going to pop up on the screen because I'm talking just, I don't have anything in front of me. I'll do the math when I edit the video. But you can see here, you know, budget-wise, if you look up any kind of storage tank, you would see how much that's going to cost you for just a normal water storage tank. And that's without having solar, without having a pump, you know, charge controller, battery, all that. And did this for the cost of one of those tanks. So that is the tank here, folks. Yes, you're going to have to put some work into it, but if you're going to go off grid and you want something to be reliable for you, you know, and I don't know how well this will work in, like, say, like Maine or somewhere north. You might need more solar panels, might have to put a DC heater on there. I really don't know on that. I'm in Arizona, so I'm just doing it based on what my needs are out here, so I can't really say for sure on that. It probably wouldn't even work in a place like Alaska or something, you know. But, you know, out here you might need like 2 to 4 panels for those. But just want to show this off, and I'm going to take you up here and show you how this water tank works and how it's going to work for our house. All right, so this is a 3,000 gallon tank, and we got this this summer. And now we have water hauled because, you know, basically someone delivers it because we're building a house right now. So this tank's probably here to stay. Initially I was going to move, but I think we're just going to keep it here. Probably just build around it. Probably build a little house here to house some of the mechanical stuff. It's also going to be solar powered. But right now the way I have it is, because it's on top of a hill, I can just connect the hose. You can see it goes all the way down there, and I can fill up my tank just from gravity. So as long as there's enough water in the tank here. Now you're probably wondering what this piece of plastic is, or this plastic tube on here, and this is what this is for. So what I did was, this is a water level indicator, and I did mine a little differently. So there's not water always sitting in this thing. There's a shut-off valve for it right here. And then this is the main on-off valve. So once this goes on, this is going to tell me how much water I got. So once the bubbles go away, this indicator line, I can look right here, and it's right up against the amount of gallons. So it gives me a pretty close idea of where we are here on water. Like, it's not exact, but, you know, close enough. So we're at about, you know, 1,500 gallons. So I shut that off. Now the water goes back down. So this is going to feed into our house, and eventually I might put something more permanent down to there. We'll see. But the house is also going to have a pretty extensive rainwater collection system. So the reason I haven't done all the plumbing and everything yet is because I still have to figure out how I'm going to incorporate this into my rainwater collection system and kind of have them work together. So that's still a ways off. But that's okay. So just so you know, this tank here was about $3,000 once we had it delivered and everything. So that just gives you an idea. It's $1 a gallon for this type of storage, and so this was not cheap at all. So yeah, that's what you're looking at for something like this, and that's what it was costing for that. So yeah, folks, so you can see that's a good budget system. If you're into building your own water setup, that's a good one for you. And I'm going to get back to work. Over and out.